Welcome, everybody, to another episode of 8192 The Truth. This is Joel D. Supernaw with my partner and birthday boy, Kevin, brother Sineer. Kevin, when was your birthday and how was it?
It's actually not till Wednesday.
Oh, you're the guy that has like a birthday month?
Well, no. When you got 3 kids, we had to take what time we could get. So we had to do the dinner a few days early.
Okay, so Sin, you sent me some text about the show. What we can talk about, and kind of. I was hoping that you would go on the couch, and we could talk you through some of the stresses that you're dealing with, and see if we could help you. Again, I'm great at giving advice, horrible at taking it. So you're under a lot of stress right now.
Indeed.
What is the biggest? What is driving you mad right now? What are if you had three your top 3 right now? What's got you all boxed up?
Number one, I don't know, and I'm sure you have sold a house or tried to sell your house, which that in itself can be stressful, but not necessarily a big deal. But when you've got 3 kids under 5, 2 dogs over 100 pounds, keeping a house show ready when you're trying to get out, when you need to get out, we don't have enough space, it will put you at your wit's end. Every dog hair, every little mess, every mark that they may put on the wall, I freak out about because I'm trying to keep this brand new house looking brand new to get rid of it. But with 3 kids under 5 and 2 large dogs, house might as well have been lived in 10 years.
Okay, so a couple things there. So you're putting a lot of stress on yourself to make the house perfect because you need it gone.
We need it gone, not because it's a bad house. We've outgrown it. We built this house with 2 kids. Now we've got 3 going on 4. So
now let me ask you a question. Now, you're a businessman. Well, let me back up again because you asked if I ever sold houses. No, Sin. I went to Crossbar County for 6 months for playing mortgage fraud. Now, what that really was I bought a grip of houses, and I would take the money on the buy, and then I would have to sell them. So I know what it's like to need to sell a house. I just grabbed 60 grand out of in 60 days before the payments hit, and I had 13 of those out there. So I know a little bit about the stress, but that was crazy stress. Let's get to normal stress with what you have. What's the renter market over there? Couldn't you just rent it out and go get you another house? Or you don't want to play that?
Possibly, but we're in a kind of a fancy HOA, and they're real shitty about renters. Like, I'm pretty sure it's in the rules you can't rent your house. They don't accept.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? So you had the house sold. You had another one bought. That one fell through.
Yes.
So every day when you go to sleep, you're thinking about, oh man, is this house ever going to move?
Yeah, and it's obviously it's off season, so it's not like people are out, just flooding the market. It's not summertime. It's winter in Ohio. So, I mean, people aren't really home shopping. But
you got a baby on the way.
And we got a baby on the way, and we have another home, ideally, that we're going to be getting. It's going to be a private transaction with a family member, a huge, nice house. But we're afraid that this family member, my wife's family, is relocating out of state. So they're going to say, okay, this is our window. We're going now. You've got 2 weeks to come up with the cash. And, houses of this size, it's not a $40,000 bungalow. I mean, these are 4,000 square foot homes. We're not just going to, reach into the back pocket and pull out, six figures. So we're afraid that it's going to come up, the window's going to open, and don't have ours sold. And then it's a choice: do we, possibly overextend ourselves and take on 2, good sized mortgages, or do we lose out and then have to start from scratch?
Well,
We've moved a
well,
lot. I was a corporate guy. We bounced around promotion after promotion, so different houses. We moved a ton. Then we came back to Ohio, had a huge house. We thought we were good, but we wanted to move a little south, better district, so we moved. Thought, yeah, this is going to be it then. The 2 kids quickly becomes soon to be 4. So now we got to find that big forever house, because this ain't cutting it. We need a 5 to 6 bedroom house, and we are busting at the seams. And
you can't. Apparently, you can't keep your hands off Sister Sin.
Oh,
so
Christ.
you might need more bedrooms.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to get snipped. That's for sure.
Well, Stipe's plus 155. I mean, I gotta believe you throw 40 dimes on him, this thing cleans up real quick. It's only, it's only 4 or 5 days of terror and stress, and then if you lose, then you have a whole another problem, which is divorce. So that's one thing to look at. So there we go. So how do we deal with financial? So this is financial stress. We're trying to.
Yes and no. It's more.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, and it's not even the money. It's just that when you've got 3 rambunctious kids under 5, kids are going to be kids. They don't know what they're doing half the time. So it's just hard to keep a home looking brand new the way it should for the price of it. They're kids. They play, they run, they bang into things, they knock walls. I can't spend every free moment home repairing the walls and repainting the walls because they're being kids. I mean,
have you tried screaming at your real estate agent?
Oh, I have.
Okay. What I've noticed about screaming at people
it doesn't work.
Never. Literally not one time does it work.
And real estate agents, I've got such an issue with them. I mean, the good ones I'm sure are very good, but it seems like 80% are just average, and they think in the modern market you just take some pictures, throw it up online, the house sells. And for the amount of money that they make on these, sales and the kind of homes that I live in, it's ridiculous that they don't do more to try and get it sold. They're just pocketing money.
A real estate agent is few and far between, but for you, the ones, the good ones you can't get because they're too busy, and they got 3 or 4 people. The really good ones, they're worth all the money in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they're going to move your house, and they're usually smart gypsies, so they're going to double dip it. They're going to list your house. Then they're going to find the buyer, and they're going to go both ways.
Yeah, you'd think that's what they'd all want to do. They make all the money that way, but they just don't seem to do it. And I'm a little too vocal with stuff like that, so I tick off a lot of people, and now I narrow my candidate pool down real narrow because of that.
All right, so nobody likes you. All right, so number 2, what's your number 2 stress? So we got that one out of the way.
It's the everyday stress, man. Like I said, I got the 3 kids, and I got businesses. I'm running around all the time. I'm either dropping one off here or picking up the babysitter, or just it's running constantly. It's to the office, home, working from home. I stay home with the kids part of the week, and I try and work from home, and it's first world problems. I ain't bitching, but it just I'm always running.
And you're a control freak.
I am a control freak, and that's the problem. So I am a leader, manager, coach, whatever you want to call it, by nature. So I feel like I have to be controlling, perfecting, and handling everything all the time, all things all the time. Not that I don't trust people, but I'm managing my own business. My own business's finances. My second business, I'm managing my home, which is like a business, my family's finances. I mean, it's just I feel like I'm controlling so much, and I feel like I have to. Not like people are putting it on me and expecting me to. I feel like that's my job. I can't put that on my wife. It's not her stress. I handle the money. I handle our home. We move what we do. That's my job. I'm the man. I'm the husband. I take care, provide for, manage the family, and it's like another business. So it's just all these things all the time that have to go right. There's no room for error when you're dealing with people's lives. It's my family's lives. I cannot slip up.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm not the greatest person in the world to talk about stress because you know what led me down the path of ruin was I was carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders like you are right now. I was had a big house, was keeping up with the Joneses, had lost the car dealership and didn't put it down properly, and I didn't want to fail. I had this huge desire to continue to succeed. So I made, out of stress, I made a lot of really bad decisions. Decisions I look back on them and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you would ever do something like that. Those are such stupid decisions. But when for me, I look back now and I was like, and I just was so caught up in being the hero, in taking care of everything,
Yep.
that I made these crazy decisions. Now I look back on it now, and I'm like, man, that was crazy. Sometimes, sometimes you've got to pass pass the torch a little bit and delegate some of that stress, because if you were if I'm looking at you, I'm talking to you right now, and I'm saying, Kevin, you're being a little bit hard on yourself. You need to be more realistic. You have a successful business. You're paying somebody right now a lot of money within that business. I don't know who that person is, but that's the time you sit down with that person and say, okay, I need you to take care of X, Y, and Z, and then it's done, and then it's done. You have to be able to trust those people. And then another thing that you like to do is you like to have 14 or 15 things going on at once. Sometimes you got to. Sometimes you have to say, yeah, you know what? I can't pull this off right now. And I've been on both sides of it, but it's easy to say those things. I think you would, if we were on the other side and you were giving me the advice. You see, it's easy for me to say that, but it's just so hard to listen to it.
It is. My battle is being content and enjoying the moment, enjoying life with the family, the kid, enjoying where we're at, what we have, the presence, and being too driven to always want to improve, grow the business, put the family in a better financial situation, make more money. I'm always in that battle of just be happy, you're comfortable, enjoy where you're at, and the opposite of do better, grow.
Okay.
You've only got one life, so on one side says you've only got one life, take time, enjoy it, relax, and the other side says you've only got one life, maximize your opportunity. I'm always trying to focus on growing all aspects. Growing my bank account, growing my business, hiring more people. It's those two, the angel and the devil. Be happy, be
Hey,
content, or maximize, grow, prosper.
what is it that I see something on top of your head that looks like hair? I thought we gave up on that.
No, I I would rather have a balding short crop hairdo than go with the bald head. That was not for me. I was not accepting of that look. It's easy, it's clean, but it's not until
I'll
it's
tell you
forced
this.
upon
I'll
me.
tell you this funny thing about hair is I've always had this just monster full set of hair, and it's been maddening to me that, oh man, the hair grows so fast and da 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 da, and now it's starting to thin. Now it's starting to thin out, and I never thought it would bother me. So what I'm doing now is I'm just letting it grow. I don't know how many more runs I got left in it, and I'm gonna go. What's that guy? Benicio del Torres.
There
He's
you
got
go.
that big crazy hair.
Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing. So I wrote down a question: how to handle stress, and then I had four answers. It's like a multiple choice. So the first one, how to handle stress: make a plan.
Make a plan.
That sounds pretty good, huh?
Yep.
The second one, get drunk. Okay. The third one, and this is what I used to do. Buy a new car.
There you go.
And the fourth one is get a workout in. So I think two of those probably make sense. Make a plan, get a workout in.
Yes.
the workout's always a good idea. It's always a good stress reliever. Um, Randy Couture gives phenomenal advice, and you're dealing with the problems you're dealing with is you're a leader. You've got a successful business. You got a growing family. You've put a lot of stress on yourself. But some of us, other people that deal with stress all the time, one of the best advice that I got from Randy, and it was this summer, he said, practice indifference. Practice indifference. Now I'm trying to figure out that's a great word track, but there's some small things going on in my life that they don't even matter. They're so small, but in the course of the day, it's like I get a stick jabbed at me 5 or 6 times a day, and every time that stick jabs at me, I know, man, this is nothing. Let it go. Let it go. So the practice indifference is something that I'm going to work on as soon as he tells me how the hell to do it. I'm going to start doing it, because a lot of the stress that a lot of people like me have, I don't have a lot of stress. I've got emotional stress. I'm missing lead, this, that, and other. Trying to rebuild, go back out to Oregon. But the reality is, the stress in my everyday life is really, really small. And if I can figure out how to take that advice, which is practice indifference, minimize it, let it know. Most of the stress, if you write it down, I'm like, oh God, that's nothing. That's nothing. How am I even letting that bother me? So practice indifference or get drunk by a car. Either one of those will be great. Now, moving on, getting you off the couch and starting the show.
Yes.
One of the topics you had, and I'll let you run with this because, again, I am not political. But boy, you do got a good one to talk about here in a second. Let's get you and your Trumpy ass through. Why are you so upset that they're trying to get Oprah to run for president?
Well, first off, the bitching and the argument, the protest against Trump, where he's an unqualified, non-political TV celebrity with no experience. Then who the hell is Oprah Winfrey? They're pushing. It's the exact same thing, different year, different situation, but they act like she's the saving grace, and somehow it's so different. That, and then her stupid speech at whatever Golden Globes, whatever the program was about. Granted, that topic, yes, that's genuine, and it's
bring me up to speed. I know nothing about this Oprah.
So Oprah got the Cecil, I think it was the Cecil B. DeMille Lifetime Achievement Award, and she used her platform as a political opportunity to voice her concern about the whole sexual misconduct, the men taking advantage of women in Hollywood and power positions, and the whole thing that's a mess on popular society right now, all the sexual misconduct, the whole thing. So she spoke on that and made this impassioned plea about how it needs to change and yada yada, and all these terrible villains, these people, these Harvey Weinsteins and so forth that are doing this and for years and gotten away with it, and now it needs to stop. Well, next day, thank God for the internet, people are posting these memes all over, like 8 different pictures over the years where she's sitting all chummy holding hands with Harvey Weinstein and being best buddies and kissing his cheek and laughing and having a good time. So the hypocrisy there was absurd. And like I said, thank God for the internet pointing it out and blasting her the next day, like, you big loudmouth hypocrite, you're going on and on about how these people are so bad, and you're best friends with the guy. So
okay. So, but where has Oprah talked about running for president?
Well, no, after the stupid speech and all the I don't know that she's come out and said it, but every millions of people that are in love with her are pushing it now, saying that she's the best candidate because that she's not.
I tell you what, man. I tell you what. I again, I'm not a Trumpy, but I think if it goes Oprah versus the Trumpy, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna go with the Trumpy. I just, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
and the whole political.
but again, we talk about what should we, uh, why should Trump be president? And the voice is, let's get a businessman in there
Yes.
that has been successful in business and go well. I mean, isn't that the same? Isn't Oprah a successful business person?
Yes, and she's got no other experience other than that. She had a TV show. She started her own network. She sold books. She's the same thing. Self-made person. She's got no different experience than him. None.
Um, I tell you I don't know, but if you feel better, I want you to feel better. Um, you had a great topic here, and I want to spend some time on this. And I the Hawaii
Ugh.
was hit with a missile alert. There's a missile coming.
Yes.
Get to shelter.
There's a ballistic missile heading for Hawaii. This is not a drill. Warning.
Um, and you're saying it was 38
38 minutes before they came on and corrected it and saying it was a false alarm. Something happened to the system that kicked out that alarm. Which, if you're a conspiracy person, was it a false alarm, or did we shut it down, intercept the missile, do all that in that amount of time, and don't want people to realize, we're at it with somebody?
No.
But
Because
yes,
because if that happened, man, I hope
you'd think, yeah. But yeah,
I would
38-minute
think
window.
we would come so far out of the box. I mean, here. I don't want to think like that. Let's just work on this.
But yeah, so
talking
a
point, because it's
38-minute window where the residents of Hawaii thought that, a la Pearl Harbor again, they were going to be under attack. There was a ballistic missile heading their way. This is not a warning. So it came across every cell phone, everything like an Amber Alert, warning, and then this is not a drill. So people thought we're being attacked.
So your question to me was, what do you think you would do?
Yeah, what's your first thought? What do you do? Who do you call? That 30,
Okay, so
30 minutes, what is going on?
Well, here's what I would hope out of myself. I would hope that I would be a leader in the situation, and not a Costanza. Do you remember
when he burst out of the apartment for the birthday party?
Yes. I would hope I wouldn't be a Costanza, but you don't know. You really, really don't know. I would hope, first and foremost, that I would be a leader in a situation like that, and try to figure out, okay, we've got to get people to shelter. We have to get a little plan here. I would hope that I would be a leader and not a Costanza. Then I wanted to dig into this, and if it was a situation where it's coming at me, okay, it's coming to hit Kansas City, and Lad and Jennifer are out there in Portland. That's the situation where I would hope I would be a leader. Now, if it's going to hit them, man, what would I do on this side? Man, I don't know. I would be in a panic. If we were together, again, I hope I would be a leader. Get them to safety. Again, man, I don't know. Who would I call if I thought it was coming to bink me on the head? Man, I don't know. I think that's such a stressful situation. I'm not sure, but I want to pose that question to you. What do you think you would do? Again, it's coming at you. You're with your family. It's coming at you. You're separated from them.
Well, if I'm with them, I mean, there's very little discussion of what's going on. If you can't outrun it, nothing you can do. You don't waste time trying to. To me, I don't waste time trying to move to a different location. Anything like that. It's not a gunman. A gunman you might be able to do something with, stop, that kind of stuff. A missile, nothing as a man, nothing you can do. You can't stop it. You can't block it. You can't deflect it. Nothing like that. So you sit and embrace with your family. If I'm not with my parents, then I make that call. Confess my love, my devotion, my appreciation, and I sit in my house with the other 5 people most important in my world, and you ride it out and try and laugh and be happy. If I'm not with them, absolutely first call, only call. I stay on the phone with them the whole time. Tell them.
Now, if it's at your house and you're going to the basement, are you grabbing a bunch of liquor and going down there, or are you grabbing food? I think I'm on the booze right away. I think I'm at Tank City just immediately.
I think you down some booze immediately to take the edge off, kind of wear that out. But yeah,
man, I tell you, to not to make light of this thing, man, that old boy over there in North Korea is just he's just on a different level.
Oh, Lord.
And I've got to believe that we're okay.
Yeah.
I have to believe we've got plan B, C, and D. I hope anyway.
Yeah, I don't think as much as they make, they build drama in the news to sell stories and, keep the 24-hour channels running. I got to believe in my heart of hearts we are rarely ever in danger much. I mean, 9/11 was different. That's a surprise civilian type attack. It's not a military. I just don't think we're in danger of being reached by much of anybody. I think we've got people, all around the globe protecting our perimeter. It's just not. I try to believe it's not an issue that helps me sleep at night.
I tell you,
plus we got Tim Kennedy. Nobody else has got Tim Kennedy.
Yeah, right. I tell you, I hope it doesn't happen. I hope I'm never in a situation like that. But man, if I would ever find out that I was a Costanza, man, I just gotta stop. I gotta figure out how to get off this planet as soon as I can.
He cleared a path for everybody to get out safely. He knew what he was doing.
So I tell you, did you ever see a movie called Crossing Over?
Sounds familiar.
Harrison Ford is he's with immigration. He's busting places and deporting people, and it shows the kind of the inside life of all these different different people within the problems they have with getting a green card and all these other things. And there was this family that had come over. There was a family of 3, and the young girl was in high school. She was 15. The 2 younger kids were born in America, so they're American citizens, but both of the parents were illegal. And the girl had written an article in her high school, an essay talking about 9/11, basically being sympathetic to the people that attacked, basically saying she understood it.
Yeah.
And her teacher had given it to immigration, and immigration came and said, hey, we're deporting you. Okay, we're deporting a 15-year-old girl that had been in our country since she was 3, basically going to send her back to a third world country. And I watched the show, and I had very, very, very little sympathy for her. I had actually zero sympathy for her, and my thought process was, because here's the situation. Here's what the family could have done. At the end of the day, they could have sent her over, deported her. The family stays, or one parent could go with her. The other parent, INS, would basically leave alone, and they could stay with the other kids. So their country is so bad, and this country is so good, that they chose for the dad to stay in this country with the two younger kids, and the mom to go over to the whatever third world country it was they were coming from. And my thinking was, if it is so good here, if it is so great here, you need to be so thankful and grateful, because it's a privilege to live here. It's an absolute privilege to live here. And you should watch that show, because it makes you want to be sympathetic. But I'm like, how could you be sympathetic for somebody that is sympathetic to the bombers that blew up those buildings?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I see it's got Ray Liotta. I'm a big Ray Liotta fan. So.
Yeah, he was a bad guy in that. Hey, let me ask you a question. I know you watched the Alabama Georgia game.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to bounce around. Did you see the play where on the special teams, Alabama player gets a 15-yard penalty? He's on the kickoff team, the defensive kickoff team. He basically punches a guy from Georgia, gets a 15-yard penalty, goes to the sideline, and then punches his coach.
Yes, yeah, I remember that.
Okay, and then this guy, and so they didn't even, the announcers didn't even talk about how crazy that was. You don't even hear the guy's name again, or they talk about him until he makes a horse collar tackle on the next time he's in there. And I'm thinking, is this the Alabama factor? Is it an Alabama factor? Because if you watch that game, there was a lot of calls in there that you're just like, whoa.
Yeah, especially the later half. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a call, man. Because the kid should have got kicked out of the game.
Oh, absolutely.
And then even if he didn't get kicked out of the game, as soon as you try to punch your coach, somebody's sending you to the locker room.
Absolutely, you're done.
It was crazy to me. It was crazy that it was such a big thing that happened right there on national TV, and nobody talked about it. And I was like, that's the Alabama factor. That's how big Alabama is. That's how much stroke they have.
Oh, absolutely, and that's who was wanted to win. I have a hard time.
The announcers just let it pass. That means the announcers had somebody in their ear from the control truck saying, "Let it go."
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
If those big powerhouses, it's a real thing. It's like New England, the New England factor. They played against Tennessee. There was a couple pivotal points in the first half where you're just like shaking your head like, that's robbery. That call would never go the other way. How big of a factor is it? How big is the New England factor? How big is the Alabama factor? Is it 7 points? Is it 10 points? I would say it's at least a touchdown, if not 10 points.
Oh, absolutely. I've got a very hard time, with all the sports not scripted, but yeah, there's refs that don't make the calls. They keep quiet, or they, in basketball, some of the powerhouses, if it's going against the big program, then the whistle starts getting blown nonstop. They definitely have an impact on it, especially with those. I mean, if New England does well, if Alabama wins, then that makes money for everybody. So, they're always going to have an impact to give them the best odds possible.
All right, moving on. Jeremy Stevens, you watched the fights last night?
Yes.
Okay. Is Jeremy Stevens a Hall of Famer?
Hall of Famer.
That's his 27th UFC fight. He's been in the UFC for 11 years. He's got all of 6 to 8 fights left. Okay, so let's call it 6. 33 UFC fights. Does do you think, let's say he has 6 fights left, he goes 4-2. Is that a Hall of Fame career? I say it is.
At this point, yes, because the Hall of Fame's still being somewhat young, still building its membership per se. I'd say yes. Yeah, even without a title, that's a pretty lengthy career. He's always a decent draw, always a performer. How many countless finishes has he had in those fights? So yeah, I'd have to agree with you. With that amount of fights, if he got 6 more, if he comes out 4-2, I would say yes.
All right, next, moving on. Ronda is going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean that's a no-brainer. It's coming clear now that she was not as good as the hype, just because the.
Well, she was as good as the hype. It was just she was.
There wasn't the competition.
She was ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
The pool is still really, really, really shallow.
Oh yeah, you get past number 2 or number 3. Who is there in any division? It's nothing. You've got a couple.
But shouldn't they put Misha and Ronda in together? I mean, wouldn't that be beautiful? Because there is no Ronda without Misha. There's no women's division without those two. That's the Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier of female combat sports. Misha's gonna go in. Why not put them in together? Why not have that drama? Have them trying to be nice to each other when they just can't, because there would be a third fight after the extravaganza. Except Misha's pregnant now.
Yeah. Whatever happened to Brian Caraway? I completely missed. I thought they were like the it couple, the fighters couple, and then all of a sudden he's out of the picture and she's pregnant by somebody else. So good for her.
Yeah, he got what's called the hook. He got. I don't know. I don't have any information on that, but I do know he got what is considered the hook. It's also considered the booty boot.
Oh, Brian,
that's a tough thing.
That's a tough gig to lose, man.
I think they should put them in together. That would be great.
I think it would. I'm sure if it came up whatsoever, Ronda had a very vocal opinion about that. But yeah, I mean, Misha's going to go in for sure. Strikeforce champ coming in, winning the belt over here. Absolutely, it's a no-brainer for her. I mean, they are the 2 UFC pioneers for the women. But I agree.
Now, with all this stress going on, are you still going to Bellator this weekend?
Oh, that's a good question. I got the tickets. It's not been decided. I mean, that's been the plan. I've had them since day one, since they went on sale. But, and it's not that I can't. And,
It's probably, okay, so what you're saying is right now is not the time to go to that thing.
And like I said, money's not an issue. It's not that. I don't want people to think that. I'm not hurting. It's just, stress-wise and responsibility-wise, is it the right thing for me to do? I mean, the tickets are already.
Man, let me go ahead.
The room's already paid for. The show tickets are already paid for. I mean, everything's there. It's just.
This is a very similar situation. Remember, me and Lad were going to go to Vegas.
Yeah.
For the trip, we ended up not going. I said to you, I am not the guy that complains about things that he's already paid for, and I know you're not either.
Yeah.
If you think it's not a good time to go, the answer is don't go, because your entire trip will be ruined from the time you get on the plane until the time you get back. How many different events have you went to?
Oh, a lot. More than 10. I mean, I've been to a lot.
I'm in the high 20s, and the only reason I would go to an event is for Lad at this point. So if it's up in the air for you to go or to not go.
Well, I mean, I want to go for 2. One, I'm a California guy. I lived there. I lived in LA. I mean, that's always my dream, to get back to Southern California. I left when I was a single guy, moved out there, then came back here. So it's always the dream to get out there. I like to go visit and vacation there as often as possible. And it's, it's JLP. So I was out there last January when he fought Tito, and, I like to be at his fights. I was at MSG for the Wanderlei fight. I don't like to miss those now that financially I have the opportunity to go. in my younger days when he was, really in his prime, didn't really have the means and, the opportunity to follow around and watch him. So that would kind of bum me out if I miss it. But, you know, I don't want to feel like that jerk if I would go and leave the wife here, and that's not really a cool thing to do. But
Yeah, man, I tell you, if you have to contemplate it, the answer is not go, man. I have never ever went on a trip where I thought maybe I shouldn't go on this trip, and it been a good trip. Never did I ever come back and say, "Oh man, I am so glad I went on that trip," because you know, whether you go out there or not doesn't have any difference on how the event's going to unfold. You went through it 100 times. God, and it's the middle of winter. Wasn't that nice out there last year? All right, I got some questions from Scott Davenport, I tried to get some questions from the original Nicky Bone. So Mike Nicky Bwan is the original Nicky Bone, and he's like 75 years old, which makes him like 32 or something. And he just graduated college, so I wanted to say
nice.
Congratulations, Nicky Bone.
Congrats indeed.
And then I asked Scott, "Hey, do you got any questions?" His first one was Nagano or Stipe. My answer to that would be, have you ever listened to the show? Of course, I'm riding with Stipe.
Absolutely, all day long.
Now, here's a good question. Also, would Randy beat them? And how did Randy train for a fight?
Ooh, good question. Randy Stipe. Now, that's a fight I would love to see. Randy in his prime and a Stipe in his prime. Oh.
I'm staying away. I'm staying away from that question. How did Randy train for his fights? Well, Randy trained for his fights. The way people train for their fights now was started by Randy. Where they start getting specializations, and they have a stand-up coach, and they have this kind of coach and that kind of coach. Randy started that 15, 17 years old, or 15 to 17 years ago, and he did it by trial and error. He'd go out, he'd have a performance, and he would take from that performance what he needed to do, and then boom, now there's a stand-up guy in, now there's a jiu-jitsu guy in, this, that, and other. So Randy trained for his fights like a surgeon. Did Randy ever get his alpaca farm? He does. He's got a compound out in Colorado that I haven't been to. I'm pretty sure he does have an alpaca on it. So we will say yes. Yes, he has an alpaca and a farm, so that would make it an alpaca farm. Will Donald Trump ever get back into fight promoting? I gotta imagine no. When will you talk Randy back out of retirement, fight for the world title again? Yeah, that's not going to happen either. These guys are getting...
Especially now that they announced, Stallone announced Expendables 4 yesterday. So there's another one coming.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
I got that info the other day. I was actually watching a Affliction marathon.
Oh, nice.
And I asked him, I said, "Hey, did you get any money off of these?" Said these, and he said mailbox money. Whatever that is, it sounded cool. I don't think mailbox money is very much.
It's just something that shows up in your mailbox every now and again, and you're happy it's there.
Okay. But yeah, that'll be fun. And I tell you, those Afflictions, they're a little bit like the Rockies. If you go a spell without watching one, it's good again.
Absolutely.
It's good again. What else do we have, Sin? How deep are we into this? Do we give old boy a good pod tonight?
We're about 45 minutes in. We're not bad.
All right. So what else do we have?
So let me ask you. So we'll go back to some of the fighters. We're talking about Ronda-Misha and on the female train. So what do they do with Paige now? Is she still as we talked about, the women's divisions are weak, but is she still a viable hype train, or is she really losing steam? I mean, I know she broke an arm yesterday, so she's got a little bit of an excuse or a reasoning, but
Hey, listen, she is really, really young. She works really, really, really hard. Um, but she has a weakness, and that weakness is wrestling. Um, but again, she's really, really young. So I say, I say yes. I say if she wants to, if she will put, it's so hard to put that wrestling work in. The wrestling work, not the jujitsu work. Okay, not the jujitsu work. The wrestling work. And as a female fighter, where does she get the reps?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
West Virginia is beating my boys Kansas to death right now. Oh my God. Where does she get the reps? I think for her, I would say the answer is yes. My advice to her would be quit spending so much time doing flipping tires and doing conditioning work. Okay, go to Westland High School to All Phase Wrestling and get your wrestle on. As a matter of fact, you can't flip a tire. You're flipped out. Okay, because conditioning is not going to be a factor if you get in the wrestling room. It's just not going to be a factor if you go to practice 3 days a week and grind with those high school kids or even junior. I mean, you got to understand she's a female 125 pounder,
yeah.
so she needs to be wrestling eighth graders, freshmen and sophomores in high school, and if you can find a good solid female training partner, man, get her. So that's my advice to her. I hope you got to understand when you have a star, and that's what she is. She's a star. It's hard to coach a star.
Yeah.
It's hard to it's hard to fall in love with the star and be like, oh man, you're doing so great, and this is so great, and this, that, and the other. It's hard to say, hey man, here's what we need to do. This is what Randy would do. It's exactly what Randy would do. He would come back and say, all right, we got to wrestle. The biggest hole in your game is wrestling. So that's what we're going to concentrate on. We're going to add, but I mean, so somebody as tough as Paige who can break her arm in the first round, win the third round with a broken arm. Yeah, absolutely, she can. She can be a viable force. She's young enough. She's just got to want to. She's got to want to do it and put her time in.
There you go.
What else we got? Talk to me, Goose.
Oh,
See if we can run this. See if we can run this thing out. I'm going to see Ladd this weekend, and Ladd may or may not have a date to the high school dance.
nice.
And, well, again, he's a freshman, and you want to talk about like it would be cool if Ladd had a date. It would be awesome if Ladd had a date, goes to the prom, goes to the dance, and takes the pictures. But if my son gets out there on the dance floor,
Does he do the Elaine dry heave? Is that his dance style?
man, I tell you, Elaine's got some moves, man. I mean, his dad. Listen, Ladd's dad can't dance a lick, okay, but Ladd's dad knows sometimes less is more.
There you go.
Dance to the slow songs and sit out the fast ones. The girls all dance together, but
That's
Ladd's
right.
a baller. Ladd's a baller. He'll be knee deep in it. So
Nice.
you know what? I watched this thing on Millennials. It was a spoof. It was Did you see the one where the millennial goes for the job interview?
I don't know.
It's this young girl. She goes for a job interview. She just, they will say, can you be here at 8 o'clock? And she's like, 8 o'clock? What's that? 8 a.m. No, that's crazy. And it was beautiful. You look it up, the millennial interview, and then there was this actual doctor, some brainiac came on and was just saying why the millennials suck so bad. And the reason they suck so bad is because they were babied so much. And he goes into some bigger detail, but I've babied Lad hardcore. Again, he was going through some, he was dealing through some different things, but it really had me step back and say, you know what, Lad's going to take his lumps and he's going to be just fine. Whereas his his mom, Miss H, she's in high heaven because she is an eternal 17-year-old. So she's just all about this thing. She's like, we're gonna have some sushi with some friends over on Saturday. She's like, no, if Lad's going to this, well, I don't. She's just living it. So
nice. Right back to the glory days, huh?
Right, but man, I tell you, I mean, 8192, man, we were boozed up, dressed up, and gassed up. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna ask you. You talked about that millennial video. Did documentary on Netflix? If you got Netflix, you might want to check out Born Strong. It's about three of the world's strongest men competitors: Hafthor Bjornsson, Eddie Hall from England, and Zydrunas Savickas in Lithuania, and then also the American guy Brian Shaw. Pretty cool documentary about a guy like Brian Shaw, is 6'9", 430 pounds. About what they do to stay that big, and the lifting and just that whole lifestyle. Pretty interesting. If people that have any remote interest in the strongman sports, it's.
Did they have that Supernaw kid out of Kankakee? Did they talk about? Did they talk about him? God, there's some. I tell you what, age is catching up to me, Sin, man. There are some lifts that I do now, and I'm just like, oh my God, you're old. You're just old. Don't even try. Yeah, I'll look that up. I'll look up the strongman competition.
It's pretty neat. Like I said, just with what they go through, and the one guy who I think actually won last year, Eddie Hall. He was a national swimming champion, like through high school, like a lean, sinewy swimmer, and now he's 6'2", 400 pounds. What he puts himself through just to keep that kind of weight on, and I mean, it's pretty insane.
Yeah, that can't be good for your heart. No. That can't be good for your heart.
But the one thing they didn't ever talk about, they didn't even mention the word steroid, the whole documentary, which is absurd, because no matter how naturally big you are, you're not doing that kind of stuff repeatedly, over and over again without the gas. And that the word didn't even come up, which was, I think, kind of a disservice to the viewers, because it's common knowledge, and to just ignore the fact that they're all, heavy on that stuff, But anyway. Still cool nonetheless.
All right, so the last one, yes, Scott Davenport, you can have a Nicky Bone. I haven't spent a lot of time watching Ariel's show. I mean, it's 6 hours long, man. Good for him.
No shit.
Going 6 hours. I did watch it today. I thought it was a little interesting how twisted he was about the who's the main event and who's the co-main event, and my take was that he's the only guy really in that space. If you talk about MMA reporting, it's Ariel, and everybody else is a vast second.
Yeah.
I just look at that and I'm like, yeah, Ariel, you've gotten a big head. You're not in charge of any promotion, and quite frankly, me as a fan, that's what I am. I'm a fan. Do I care if Chael fights as a co-main event or fights as a main event? No, absolutely not. Don't care at all. Do I care if Rory and those guys are for the belt? No, it makes zero difference to me. I thought the only goofy thing about that was whatever you had planned 6 weeks ago, it needs to be planned today. My hope is that Chael doesn't waste too much energy trying to sell a fight that's on free TV.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. So, all right, Sin. So we're going big and strong every night this week.
That's right.
I'd like you to get boozed up one of these nights. Especially if you stay. We'll have you get boozed up Friday. If you're not going to Bellator, we'll have you get boozed up Friday and see what kind what kind of brain power you have on 2 bottles of wine.
There we go. I've
Um,
contemplated flying out Saturday morning and flying back Saturday night after the fight, but I don't
yeah,
know that
man,
that
let
really.
it go, let it go.
Yeah.
Let this one pass, man. I tell you, as a bro, man, you got to understand. I've been to 26 of these things, and never, never. Even there was this one time to uh, I went to a show, I went to a fight, and I brought back like 15 or 20 grand and gave Miss H like 10 of it. It's she still gave me such a rash of shit for going, and how selfish I was. There's no way to win, man. Sit this one out because
But if Chael knows I don't go, he may never talk to me again.
yeah, I think he'll. I think I mean he's got bigger fish to
Yeah,
fry.
no shit.
He's got a 260-pound rampage to
Yes.
deal with. Um,
Which those countdown videos, by the way, not too bad.
I haven't watched
Bellator's
it.
not doing too bad with those couple of 8-minute countdowns that they've done so far. It's their version of the embedded. They're pretty interesting. I like them.
It just I like being on the outside. Being on the inside of those things, are just God. They're just so stressful and so miserable.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
I
they're so
bet.
miserable to go to a fight because the nonsense around. I'm not even gonna get into that. Anyway, we'll go ahead and close this up. We went super pod.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mike Nicky Buon. Scott Davenport, yes, you can have a Nicky Bone. Scott Davenport's great, man. I'll tell you tomorrow the story about us going to the trip last year is beautiful. I'll tell you that story. I've got a story about 16-year-old Joel. It's funny. My first trip to a college, my first experience with a college girl.
Nice.
How that turned out for me. We'll talk about that. We'll have a big week. We're gonna super pod all week for the Godfather. Hey, sit this one out, and the world will go on with us or without us. So don't be so hard on yourself. Everybody else, deuces.